Hello all, this is Elikal. I'm trying my first audio preview of an MMO, in this case The Secret World, which I had the privilege to play for the past roughly 10 hours or so. I got this key by the Facebook, how's it called, The Secret War, unlocked it. So after playing about 8 or 10 hours The Secret World, I want to give my first impressions, not really a preview and not a review by far, but just some impressions. I must say in the last, well, roughly 8 years I played a lot of betas and I played even more MMOs. But in this case, this is really the first time where I just don't know what to think about it. I'm so over the fence. I mean, one thing that is clear to me now after playing The Secret World a while is that The Secret World really does things different. I feel that it is not the typical World of Warcraft or EverQuest or SWTOR style of MMO. Somehow it doesn't even feel like MMO in many places. I mean, you see the players running around, you see that there are others playing it, and you could group, but somehow it more felt to me like playing an adventure game like Myst or stuff of that kind, and because I can't remember that I ever have had so many quests which involve thinking and getting some combinations and finding some numbers and finding hidden stuff, and that's all more I connect with adventure games actually than with role-playing games, which but in itself isn't a bad thing. But it is unusual, and call me lazy or what you want, but that's one thing that really makes me doubt about the long-term value of the game. I'm just not sure, do I want to think so much in an MMO? I mean, I remember there was this quest where there is that dead woman, and she has her cell phone and it gives you a quest and you need a combination, a series of numbers to unlock some message or so for the quest, and the hint was, what was it? What was my favorite song I had when going to church or something like that. And I must admit, I just couldn't figure it out. I had to ask in chat after, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. I was walking around the church, and okay, the hint was not so difficult to get. There was this tablet or what in the church, and there were numbers on it, and I'm not a churchgoer, so I didn't know there were such things in churches, and that was the combination. And it's just one example. Or if you try to make the quest follow these ravens that fly, or if you seek the notes from this notebook tattered all over the city, and the likes, it's really quests where you have to think, where you have to concentrate, and that's not generally a bad thing, you see. Um, but it makes me walk that city Kingsmouth so over and over again, the same streets, the same points, because you see, one of the issues is you can't have more than one quest active at the same time, and somehow that makes you walk the same streets and walk the same houses and walk the same areas over and over again, because you may have been past some item you need for a quest or you need to examine for a quest, but you just don't know it, because only that one quest highlights. Some quests don't even have quest highlights, which you have selected. This one quest, like find the notes for the journal entry, And then you find those pages and you walk all the streets and then you select the next quest and you say, oh, let's go back all the way again because there is a hint for the next quest or something together or these cameras you need to find or anything. So this is really a strong contrast, as I realized, to Star Wars The Old Republic. Star Wars The Old Republic was carefully designed so you do not have to revisit the same area or the same dungeon or the same corner. If you go to, for instance, Nar Shaddaa in SWTOR, you know that you get just all the quests for one particular area, and when you are done you get all the particular quests for the new area. So you don't walk the same street twice usually unless you re-roll with a new character, and personally I like that. Now the approach in this game, the Secret World, is quite the opposite. Several quests don't have quest target areas on the map at all, which I'm 50-50 with. I mean, on the one hand it's nice and a good idea to have an approach where you know, okay, just search the city or search the forest and go find it for yourself. That's refreshing for a while, but even in that case I'm so over the fence, I just don't know if I can endure such things for a longer time. You know, I remember there was this quest which was given to me a moment before I logged out and decided I wanted to talk about it, which roughly said something like find hints in newspapers about a murder that occurred several years ago in Kingsmouth, and I don't know, I just didn't want to seek those newspapers anymore. I just had reached a point where I felt, okay, it's interesting, I've seen Kingsmouth, but do I really want to comb that city again? Because it had no quest goals on the map, and I didn't remember having seen those newspapers. I didn't know where they were, and the idea to really walk over the entire city finding newspaper entries for that murder, you see, as an idea, it sounds cool and fun. You know, it's a bit like detective work. But in reality, if you've seen the city over and over and over, there came a point where I just felt, no, I need a break. I don't want to run all through the streets seeking for hints. And I mean, okay, you can Google, especially later on when the game has launched and is a bit older, you know, you can look in Google or other sources over the internet and just find the stuff, but that's kinda kills the fun of it, I think. So, or you can ask in chat, what many people did right immediately and after a short time, I think. But I don't know. On the other hand, it's something exciting, it's something refreshing, it's something new, but I have this feeling that this kind of mentally demanding quests, shall we call it, really could tire the player or really could wear me out after some time. I don't know. It's something I'm absolutely on the fence because it's new, it's a different approach. I mean, the Secret World has that kind of quests that you know from other MMOs, like go kill 15 zombies or go kill 5 zombies or 4 different kinds for something. But that's really an exception, at least so far that I've played. Many quests really make sense, like you go around and find cameras because the main camp of the police wants a perimeter around with surveillance cameras to be safe, and you walk around and you find these cameras, and that's really an interesting approach because you really have the feeling, okay, you come to this plagued, zombie-plagued village of Kingsmouth and you really help the people there and solve the riddle, what has really happened here. And it's a little bit like those mystery TV shows like Lost or something like that. I don't really know the names of many of these series because frankly I don't watch much TV, but something like that in the style. You know there's a place, something happened, and bit by bit you unveil what has happened through meeting NPCs, talking to them, doing quests for them, finding small notes, newspaper pieces, the likes of this, and that's really a fascinating and interesting and motivating aspect. Um, Something that I really just also don't know is the atmosphere. I mean, Kingsmouth is really a scenic place in a dark way. Spending those roughly 10 hours really reminded me of games I really loved, like Silent Hill or the likes, Alone in the Dark or games like that, which as single player games really are fun and also spooked me off. I mean, those single player games. If I remember Silent Hill, if I remember Alone in the Dark, there were really many moments where I were afraid, where I were spooked, where I felt, oh, like in a horror movie or something like that. But I don't know, in Kingsmouth, I never felt that way. I can't even 100% say why, because the atmosphere is interesting and great, and especially after playing Star Wars The Old Republic now several months, I really felt that the atmosphere, the look, the designs, the graphics, the visuals in the Secret World are better. I don't know why, I just like them more. The textures are a bit grittier, the design, the detail. If you go through a city like Kingsmouth or London, the starter area for the Templars, it's really something nice to look at. Whereas SWTOR more felt a bit sterile and more like a theater stage, Kingsmouth actually feels like a real village, a believable village. But despite that, I felt that after a time, it just felt dull, repetitive. I can't really place my finger upon it why, but I don't know. If I remember zones in, let's take this, the most known example, World of Warcraft, when you're in Westfall, or when you're in the Redridge mountain areas, or whatever. It's an area you stay, I don't know, a day or two or three, and then you move on. And I don't know if I've spent 2 days gameplay in Kingsmouth, and I already felt that I've seen enough. I don't know. I can't really say 100% why. The scenery looks great. The design is, I don't know, good. But something there I felt I didn't want to spend more time in it. It feels confined in a way. And this always going up and down the same streets over and over again really hasn't contributed to wanting me to stay longer. Something that has been discussed in other threads and forums, which I just want to speak a bit about, is of course the animations and the character creation. We just read that the character creation is only limited in beta, which I must add is also a bit buggy because I had great difficulties to pull the levers, or how you would say it, to design the character as you wanted. I really would like to see a character creation video where you see the full character creation that is possible, because Age of Conan had a really detailed character creation with sliders and levers and buttons and options and anything, and this really looks like a step back. And something that also was the case in Age of Conan, I felt the characters look old and the skin looked kinda dirty. I can't help it. It looks, every of these faces looks, especially the males, I created a male character, they all looked like some dirty skin and looked a bit too old. I don't know. Maybe it's a quirk of mine, but I prefer to create a younger character and a good-looking character. It doesn't have to be as much like a doll or something, but I like to look at something that looks good. I don't like to look at, I don't know, so average Joe faces which I can see every day. And there's also no way to change the body type. It's one body type. I don't know if the final product has anything to change that, and I really would like to know that. Well, it's not so important for me in this kind of game. And, well, the animations, I really don't want to say they are bad, but they're really not top. they are several years behind what we are known today, and I know the developer said because you can attack while you move, they had to dislocate or separate the lower body and the top body animations. I don't mind that so much. It looks a bit odd, but I don't really care that much about it. But I felt the animations really looked weak. I mean, Age of Conan had so wonderful, nice animations. I really loved the hand-to-hand combat. I had a barbarian with an axe or two axes, and that really felt strong, the combat like that. And in the Secret World, I just don't feel like a strong combat, a visceral combat, something that has power behind it. This is all when I see the sword animations, or I took a character which has magic, and there is that fire animation and that electricity animation. And the electricity, it just looks weak, just like the fire. It just doesn't look impressive. It just doesn't look like I feel that I am a powerful mage-like character which feels powerful. And something about the combat that irritates me personally is, I don't know, this combat was made, or I feel like that, for gamepad, and I just don't use gamepad on the PC. I'm just not a gamepad gamer. I like to play with mouse and keyboard, and in this case you always need to circle around the enemies, because I don't know, there is one skill which can freeze one enemy in place. I don't know, maybe I didn't understand it right or didn't make it right, but generally all the mobs are right in front of your nose within a moment. And they're very fast, which I have to say is quite an unusual thing for zombies. I always thought zombies were slow, but these zombies are all very quick. Every mob is right at your nose at the moment, and to really stay alive against most mobs you need to circle around them constantly while firing, and I don't know, it just irritates me. It just makes me feel exhausted after playing, I don't know, an hour or two, because always circling around, always running from left to right, staving and so forth. I know it's just a bit much for me. I mean, I don't have to stand frozen to enjoy combat, but somehow it doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm really making a fun action combat. Let me take as counterexample Terra. I mean, Terra was not my kind of game for several reasons I don't want to go into, but in the case of Terra, you could stand, you could hack and slash, and then you circled a bit, and then you hacked and slash again. That was organic, that was satisfying. Even if you had to move, you don't have to be on the move constantly. But in the Secret World, you are constantly circling around these monsters, and I don't know, there is no way to stun them, to CC them, to freeze them in place for a while, to get your distance and make damage from the distance while slowing them or something. I haven't seen anything like aggro management either. So all I see in this game so far, I mean, given we haven't seen the higher level skills, but all I see in this game is damage doing. You just circle around mobs doing damage. That's all you do. I mean, again, maybe the higher rank skills offer more varied gameplay. That I just haven't seen. But so far as I've seen, there is just nothing but run to a mob, zerging around, doing damage, and sorry, I just feel that is too simplified. It reminds me so much of the action combat from DCU, which for a while was nice, but overall just felt strenuous to me. So there is a lot to say possibly of the Secret World, but so far I must say I'm really over the fence. I mean, bored as I am, I'm probably going to buy it, but at the moment I'm just not sure if I can play this game for a longer time. It feels again like Star Wars The Old Republic, this 2 or 3 months game, where you know, okay, you play 2 months, 3 months, maybe 4 months, but then you are done with it. I just don't see myself in this game for, I don't know, years to come. And it's quite a letdown, I must say, because the ideas behind it, the concept is really interesting, but it's just not a bad game so far as I can tell, but it didn't really thrill me either. It wasn't that kind of experience where I say, oh yeah, I had to go back into it just as soon as I can. And that's a bit sad. So one can only hope that Guild Wars is better, or Guild Wars 2 actually. But, well, we're gonna see what the Secret World and Funcom have more in store. I mean, it's only these two zones that we have seen in this beta. So I'm gonna wait what possible next beta weekends may show us. And well, that's it for now. My first impression, things I wanted to say. I hope it wasn't too difficult to understand. Sorry, English isn't my language. I hope it wasn't too difficult still. Alright, that was all. Bye bye.